Hi, everybody. We just got back from our South American trip, and we spent much of October in Argentina. And as you may know, Argentina is dealing with rampant inflation right now, which complicated your travels. And we thought we'd talk a little bit about all the things we had to travel with, or we had to deal with, because we had a bit of trouble figuring it out initially too. But I think we learned a lot. So you want to tell them?
Well, yeah. Before we left, we watched some really crappy YouTube videos. No, we tried to get the information, and I think there was a lot of misinformation on those other videos. Basically, most of them said, "Don't use your credit card. Pay cash.
Get money from Western Union too.
Get money from Western Union. Pay their 3 or 4% that they charge for transferring it, and then change the dollars on the black market, whatever." Anyway, I don't think that's always the case. It is complicated somewhat, and it's yes, it can be complicated.
But you guys figured it out.
Yeah, but it's not. Yeah,
It didn't really make the trip all that. It made it a little bit more interesting, kind of,
right.
didn't it? Yeah.
So you mentioned inflation. I think it's currently about 120% a year. And their largest bill which is new, and not very many of them in circulation, because we saw, but hardly ever. It's worth $2, the biggest bill.
It's a 2,000 peso bill, or 200 peso, 2,000 peso.
2,000 peso. But
that's
the 1,000 peso bill is everything. So basically, you want to go in and change. If you change $300, you're basically getting 300 bills back. A nice thick stack of bills.
A brick.
A brick. They put a rubber band around it, and you had for every $100.
For every
Well, not $100. For every 100,000 pesos, which is $120 or 110, or depending. It changes a lot. Yeah.
Okay.
So we used an app on our phone called what's it called? It's called Dollar Blue Oi.
And I'll put a link to that in the description below. I'll put links to everything in the description.
And there are 6 different exchange rates on there. 2 of them have a buy and a sell, and the other 4 just have one rate. So first of all, the dollar CCL and the dollar crypto, forget about. Never doesn't come into play.
For travelers, anyway.
For travelers. The dollar official barely comes into play, except it kind of does. The dollar MEP does come into play, and the dollar blue is the black market rate. And by black market, it's semi-official.
Right. I mean, the first hotel we walked into in Salta, Argentina. Duke asked them about where we should change money, and they said, "Oh, you should change it on the street. It's perfectly safe. It's the right thing to do. It's not a problem. You go down to the square, and you'll find the money changers on this corner, and
Right.
You go down and change your money there."
I mean, where does this website get this number? This number is a government-published figure. Because they are tracking what are the people on the street exchanging dollars for.
So it's not a black market in the sense that
right.
Illegal market.
It's not done in back alleys.
No.
It's done in different places.
Yes.
Maybe we should just talk about that, because it varies by location. I think the first place was Salta. Oh yeah, and they just said go down to the main square and you'll find somebody. I mean, as soon as we got there, yeah. And then the second place.
Buenos Aires.
No.
Oh no.
No, there was Molinos or. No, it wasn't Molinos. It was another place up there. Kachi?
Yeah, Kachi, I think. Anyway, they said to go
Anyway, they said the only place you can get the black market rate, the dollar blue rate, is at the pharmacy. which was on the main square. And sure enough, you went into the pharmacy, some asked, change money. Some guy came out from the back and did the exchange. And we asked 3 or 4 places, where'd the change? And they all said, the pharmacy. And then in Buenos Aires, there's Calle Florida.
That's the street.
And that's it's a
Florida Street is what
yeah,
it's,
it's a pedestrian-only street, and every 20 feet there's somebody changing money. Well, they're runners, so they're saying change money, and then you maybe negotiate a little bit on the rate, and then they take you to a place, and it's usually like in a mall, and there'll be a storefront.
a place that's not far away.
Right, not far away, and a storefront that's kind of like out of business. There's nothing there. They've got paper on the windows and that, but the door's open. They just open the door. You walk in, and then there's like a cashier. So they're behind security. They're behind a window, and they do the exchange.
Yeah, Bonnie and I walked up and down while Brian and Duke were changing the money, and we must have had 100 people say. Everybody was saying cambio, which
Right.
means change.
Right.
So
Right.
there's not anyway. And then
then in Ushuaia, I went to the closest little grocery store, the mini mart, and asked, and they said, yeah, if we've got enough pesos, how much do you want to change? And so we did that. And that reminds me of another issue. In some places, in Buenos Aires and in Ushuaia, they were very particular about the quality of the bill.
the $100 bill.
The $100, they only will change 50s and 100s, basically. And if there's a crease in it, because all ours had been folded up and hidden someplace at some time, they wouldn't take it. If they had a little tear, the tiniest, not going to take it. A little mark on it, a little stain or something, not going to touch it. Other places, the other place was the hotel. We changed in a hotel, and they gave us a very good rate. Probably, we'll talk about rates, but there were other places that didn't care, crease in it or not, it was all the same to them. So but it's something to keep in mind, especially in Buenos Aires, to have some bills that haven't been creased.
We thought about taking the bills back to the hotel and ironing them.
And I'm sure that would have worked.
Yeah, I had some more in my.
Yeah.
So how much cash did we take? How many U.S. dollars? 3,000.
We took about 3,000, and we came back with about half of what we took.
So we spent about 1,500 cash, and we
Yeah,
had it stashed in different places. Both of us wore money belts, around our. It was a much bigger belt than I would normally wear, and we had some money in chapstick tubes, which was kind of a cool idea, I thought.
Right. We took the chapstick out first,
Yeah.
the lip balm.
Yep.
But it was nice because you folded them in, I think, in thirds, rolled them up. You could only get like 2 bills and put them in there, but then you want to get them out, you just twisted the little thing and they popped out.
That's cool. So obviously we didn't just use cash. You paid.
And some of the cash, that figure that we used, some of it was in Chile because people there were a few hotels and stuff that only accepted cash. We could pay in Chilean pesos or dollars. Mm-hmm. And so we used some of our dollars there too. No real advantage, but saved us going to the ATM and getting.
Why don't you talk a little bit about when you used a credit card versus when you used cash?
Okay, so.
We're talking in Argentina, of course.
Okay, so the dollar turista, this is if you go into a bank and change dollars, this is the rate you get. And you have to fill out a form. You have to have a foreign passport, et cetera, et cetera. We never did that. And the dollar MEP is I don't know, as far as I can tell, it was for buying U.S. dominated bonds with a certain, you buy them, you can't sell. But anyway, the thing is that U.S. credit cards all had an exchange rate that came in between the dollar turista and the dollar MEP. They were a little less than this, and I think this is what they use, but there's
probably a service charge in there.
Yeah, even though these are no foreign transaction fee cards, normally, you didn't quite get this rate. But this is, you look at 840 and the dollar blue is 865. There's hardly any, you know,
And
not
we never
that much
used
difference.
an ATM. What would an ATM give you? Do you know? Would it give you the Turista? Oh, it gives you the official. So you would never want to use an
Never,
ATM.
right.
Everywhere else you go, that's how we get currency.
Well, the other thing is the dollar blue. It says you get 865. You're lucky to get that. You're like in Buenos Aires on the street. If this says 865, you might get 850 or 850. We could never get quite that. We did once in that hotel. They gave us the full rate. So anyway, the other thing about paying for things is hotels have a 21% sales tax. If you're a foreigner and pay with a foreign credit card, you're exempt. So your hotel bill goes down roughly 21% if you pay with a credit card. So you're actually coming out quite a bit ahead by paying with a credit card than using cash and changing it at the black market rate. So that's one thing that no one
Told us
beforehand. And you know, we emailed some places, says, so which rate do we get? Of course, they don't know. They don't know when, you know, you give them the credit card, they run it through the machine. They don't know what rate Bank of America credit card or
Yes.
Barclays or whatever U.S. bank is changing it at. And it's not something they can see.
Pretty much every time you had a big charge, you then would look at our credit card app on our phone and see what it came out to in dollars, kind of figure things out too.
Right. So okay, one other thing. You would think all these rates kind of go all up, all down,
Together.
No, not at all. Sometimes one will go up and one will go down if it's on the same day. But the dollar official barely budges. It just has the tiniest little change. And by the way, 347,93 is 347 in US, 0.93. You know, commas and periods are reversed in most countries from what we do in the US.
What date are these numbers?
This is November 1st.
Okay, so yeah.
So some of them, like now the dollar blue is 865 on November 1st. It was up to 1,050 during our trip, and it started off at like 750, I think. So this one goes up and down. This one steadily seems to go up, and the official seems to stay static. Although they had the day after their primary election, it went up 20% in one day. But then it stayed, it was flat, went up, flat. So, okay, another thing I was going to say was a couple times when we purchased something online.
Oh, like tickets to the park or something?
The big one was the tango show in Buenos Aires. So it was priced in dollars, which normally doesn't necessarily mean you're paying in dollars. But in this case, none of this made any difference whatsoever. You were paying in dollars, and they ran it through some company in Miami, Florida.
So that company
so the credit card company got a charge in dollars. It was paid in dollars. We paid full price.
And the tango show company didn't have to deal with inflation
right.
in Brazil.
And the thing was, when you bought them, there was a drop-down menu. What country are you from? And I thought, well, what is this just statistical purposes? And of course, as soon as you said U.S., you were screwed. Probably, if you were European, they'd run it through some European bank, and if you're Canadian,
Right.
whatever. But they already had identified me as a mark.
Yeah.
I mean, it wasn't.
Well, it was what you expected to pay.
And basically, we paid a true price rather than getting a huge discount.
Speaking of which, talking about what this saved us by paying with black market pesos that we'd exchanged on the peso. We would eat dinner and have like four steak dinners.
Four of us traveling together.
4 steak dinners, maybe with an appetizer.
Sparkling water. nice wine.
Very nice bottle of wine, you know, $30, $40 bottle of wine. And the whole bill would be $80 in US currency.
Right.
It was just, you almost felt bad. I mean, we're paying, and then to pay, you get out one of these bricks and start counting. It looks so weird on your table to be counting out $81 bills, essentially.
Right. Okay, another thing is when this official rate. If you're on a website like hotels.com or booking.com, and it says, I've got my calculator here, it says the price is 100,000 pesos. And then they will say, that's approximately $287. But it usually says, but you'll pay at the current exchange rate at the time of your stay. Well, they're using this rate. So $287 a night. What you're really paying is 100,000 divided by something in between these, let's say 800. You're paying $125, not $287.
So we stayed in some very nice hotels, pretty reasonably priced.
Right. Paid with credit card at all the hotels, I believe.
Right. Good. Okay, good.
And then all the meals at restaurants, we pretty much paid in cash that we had exchanged on the black market. And then there were some things like tickets and stuff that we bought online. And if we used, well, there was the tango show, but there was also one where we couldn't get the credit cards to work or they didn't take them, and we used PayPal. And that also got changed at the
Official rate.
official rate, I believe.
Okay.
So there's exceptions to all the rules, but in general, I would say pay for the hotels and avoid the 21% sales tax and use a credit card.
Yep. Okay.
Unless you're Argentine, then you're paying that 21% no matter what.
Right. Okay, what
And,
else? You have your list there?
Oh, yeah, I got my list. Thank you, Jen.
Okay. Oh, and like you said, lots of misinformation, but it was kind of actually fun to figure it all out, and it didn't feel at all. I was a little bit concerned, and it wasn't at all scary. It was easy, and it'll be interesting. Argentina, as Duke said, had the primary election while we're there, and their runoff election is Saturday or Sunday of this week.
Yeah, Sunday, I think.
Yeah. All right, well, thank you. We're still working on all the other trip videos, and we'll do a trip review video soon. Thank you. Bye.
Bye.